Attorney General Barr taking on the national left-wing media for ignoring the origins of the Spygate controversy and the Trump-Russia probe. In a CBS interview, Barr said this, quote, "The fact that today people just seem to brush aside the idea that it is okay, to engage in these activities against a political campaign is stunning to me, especially when the media doesn't seem to think it's worth looking into. They're supposed to be the watchdogs of our civil liberties." Well, breaking news tonight, Radical Dem Adam Schiff has requested in-person briefings from the intelligence chief on AG Barr's Spygate investigation. Schiff apparently wants access to all of the documents provided to the Attorney General as part of his investigation. In other words, Schiff thinks he should have the same prerogatives, powers, and authorities as the Attorney General. Schiff demanded all of those documents by 5 p.m. on June 6th. Wow. Well, joining us tonight, Alex Vogel, CEO of the Vogel Group, former chief counsel to Senate Majority Leader Bill Frist, and the National Republican Senatorial Committee, Alex, I'm glad you've kind of lightened up your workload here, former deputy counsel for the RNC. Also with us, Republican strategist, former chair of the Nevada Republican Party, Amy Tarkanian. Amy, great to have you with us as well. Let's start with Barr's objection, and what he is saying is absolutely true. The media has ignored the issue of the Spygate origins and the Russia probe. Your reaction?
They absolutely have ignored the evidence that Attorney General Barr has come up with. And what's even more troubling is the fact that he's finding out that the evidence actually that is being brought forward isn't matching up. According to what's being reported. So you've got people like Comey, Brennan, and Clapper and company that are definitely, I think they have every right and reason to be nervous.
Alex, your thoughts on Barr being stonewalled by the IC chiefs? It is, to me, incomprehensible how they think they can defy the President of the United States and his Attorney General.
Yeah, the Attorney General's authority here is pretty clear, and I think ultimately he will get what he wants. What's remarkable is that Congressman Schiff apparently doesn't fully understand that issues like declassification are solely within the purview of the executive branch. In his capacity, he has no authority to demand anything from them. He can certainly ask questions after the fact from an oversight perspective, but it is fairly ridiculous that he's demanding that he be given the same information, and he's expressed this mock indignation about concerns about release of classified information, and yet the same guy is apparently perfectly content to argue that the Attorney General should make available to, of all people, members of Congress, grand jury information that would be against the law to release that was underlying the Mueller report to begin with. So I think he's off base in a couple of places.
The President of the United States putting tariffs on Mexico's exports to the United States, Amy, as a last resort. He has been imploring López Obrador, the President of Mexico, for months to help to secure the southern border, to, in point of fact, stop illegal immigrants who have to traverse, in many cases, 2,000 miles from south to the north, the northern Mexico border, our southern, and today deciding he can't wait any longer. This is a national emergency. It is a crisis. And what does the national left-wing media do? They start braying about this is so difficult. We can't imagine what business and Wall Street will do, instead of talking about what the American people will do and how long we can sustain $5 trillion in lost economic growth. It is, and the Chamber of Commerce goes after the president. Your thoughts?
Listen, the best way that I can compare this, I'm a mom of 4, and I have 3 of them as teenagers. The very last resort, if they don't do their chores, if they don't want to clean their room, and they're not going to listen to the rules and listen to authority, what do I do to make the pain actually hurt? I take away their electronics. So you know what? This is something that I'm viewing where Mexico hasn't listened. They're not following through. They're not doing their end of the bargain. So what does the president have to do? He has to go to the toughest way that he can do it, and he has to do exactly where it hurts.
Alex, your thoughts on how effective the president's tariffs will be, and why he should put up with the kind of nonsense, and why should the American people put up with the kind of nonsense that a nonprofit representing some of the biggest multinationals in the country threatens the president of the United States? Has Tom Donahue lost it?
Well, look, we've heard a lot about the cost of avocados, as if that's enough to stop presidential action in the face of a national emergency that he declared months ago, by the way. And under that emergency, he has the authority to do this, absolutely. They can challenge it all they want. His authority is pretty clear. He could actually do a lot more dramatic things than this. And the truth is, this president has shown, even to those who argued against it, that tariffs can be a very effective tool at driving behavior. Look, the fact that the Mexican foreign minister is getting on a plane and is going to come here immediately shows you that this will get their attention and hopefully will drive some action.
Absolutely. That is the point and the goal. And I think we should all bet on the president, don't you? Amy Tarkanian, thanks so much. Alex Vogel, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you both.